In front of everyone, with my heart racing and my white dress clinging to my chest, I waited, but he never came. The clock struck the exact hour. The music stopped. The silence inside the church grew heavy, suffocating. I could hear my own breathing. And with every second that passed, without him walking through those doors, it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. People began to glance at each other, whispering, pity in their eyes. My mother looked at me, a look I'll never forget. She said nothing, but her eyes said it all. Then, his best friend, one of the groomsmen, slowly walked toward me. His face was pale. He leaned in and whispered with trembling lips. He left. My world shattered. Those words echoed inside me like thunder. My mind couldn't process them. He left? Without looking me in the eyes? Without even saying goodbye? This was supposed to be our wedding day, the beginning of our life together. And suddenly, it became my worst nightmare. My legs gave out. The ground felt like it was crumbling. I wanted to run, but I was frozen. And in the middle of that crowd, in front of everyone, I had never felt so alone. Every eye was on me. Time seemed to stop, but only for me. Around me, everything moved in slow motion. People whispered, pointed discreetly. Some tried to hide their shock. Others simply looked away, as if trying to spare me from a pain that was already impossible to hide. I heard fragments of voices in the air. She got left. Poor thing, my God. This has never happened here. Shame burned my face. The pain was physical. A weight on my chest, a knot in my stomach, a pressure that made it hard to breathe. My heart didn't beat. It screamed. My aunt tried to hug me. My mother was crying harder than I was. And me? I just wanted to vanish, disappear from that church, erase this day from the calendar of my life. But everything was right there, painfully real. The photographer lowered his camera. The musicians began packing up. The bouquet I held so tightly slipped from my hand and hit the floor with a dull thud. That sound shattered me. That was the moment I knew this wasn't a nightmare. It was real, and I was living it, with an audience. So I ran. I grabbed my dress and stumbled through the pews, hearing footsteps chasing behind me, voices calling my name. But I didn't want comfort. I didn't want words. I just wanted to escape. Escape everything. Escape me. I finally reached the small bathroom at the back of the church, locked the door, and collapsed. I sat on the cold floor, leaned against the wall, and cried like I had never cried before. A deep, raw, silent cry. A cry not just for what I had lost, but for everything I thought I had, and never really did. Waking up the next day felt like waking inside a nightmare I couldn't escape from. My wedding dress was still draped over the chair. The flowers in the corner had wilted overnight, like a cruel reminder of what never happened. And the silence, that heavy, punishing silence, made everything hurt even more. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I turned off my phone, locked the door, shut the windows. I wanted the world outside to disappear, and for everyone to forget my name. The pain came in waves, constant and cruel. I kept asking myself, why? What did I do wrong? How could someone who said he loved me just vanish, without even looking me in the eyes? I cried so much that day I lost all sense of time. Sometimes between sobs, I'd just stare at the ceiling, waiting for a sign, any sign, something to make it all make sense. But nothing came. The truth is, I felt discarded, like I had been thrown away, lied to, forgotten, like love was just a story, and I had been foolish enough to believe it. There, in that dark room, drowning in my thoughts, I felt like giving up, not on life, but on everything else, on love, on people, on myself. That was the darkest day of my soul. And the worst part was thinking no one in the world could truly understand the depth of what I was feeling inside. On the third day, still locked in my room, I heard a soft knock on the door. It wasn't my mother, not my sister. The knock felt different. Gentle, respectful, like it was asking for permission before it even made a sound. I hesitated before getting up. My body felt heavy, like I was carrying the weight of the world, but something inside me whispered, "Open it." So I did. There stood an elderly woman I'd never seen before. Her face was kind, her eyes calm, and her wrinkled hands held a small envelope. She looked at me, not with pity, but with a strange kind of warmth, like she knew me without ever having met me. "I won't stay long," she said softly. "I was just told to give you this. God sent me." Before I could even process her words, she placed the envelope in my hand, smiled gently, and walked away. I stood there for a moment, frozen. Then I slowly sat down on my bed, hands trembling, and opened the envelope. Inside was a simple piece of paper, one sentence. written by hand, "God is not finished with you." That line hit me deeper than anything anyone had said in days. It was like someone had struck a match inside my chest, just a tiny spark, but enough to feel something again. I started crying, but this time, it wasn't just from pain. It was something else, something lighter, a feeling I couldn't name yet, but it was real. I folded the note carefully and placed it under my pillow, and for the first time in days, I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered a quiet prayer. I didn't ask for anything. I just said, "If you're still here with me, show me." I had no idea that prayer would be the first step on a journey that would change everything. Something shifted after that note. I was still hurting, still crying, but now I started listening, not to people, to the quiet, to myself, to the little things I never noticed before. On the first day, I sat on my bed and prayed in silence. I didn't ask for anything. I just thanked God for keeping me alive. It felt strange, but somehow freeing. For the first time, my prayer wasn't a desperate cry. It was a conversation. On the second day, I opened my window. Sunlight poured into the room like it had been waiting for me. I closed my eyes and let it warm my face. It was the first moment of peace I had felt in a long time. On the third day, I found an old Bible buried in a drawer. I opened it randomly, and my eyes landed on a verse that pierced my soul. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." I broke down. But this time, my tears carried something else: hope. On the fourth day, I sat at the kitchen table for the first time. My mom didn't say a word. She just reached across the table and held my hand. And in that silence, I felt a kind of love that needed no explanation. On the fifth day, I got a message from a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. Just one sentence: "You're stronger than you think." That's all she wrote. But it came exactly when I needed it. On the sixth day, I went for a walk. The wind touched my face like a soft embrace. I noticed people, their smiles, their eyes, their stories. Life was still happening. And maybe, just maybe, I was still a part of it. And then came the seventh day. I woke up early, my heart beating fast for no reason I could explain. It was like something was pulling me, calling me. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay still. I had no idea that what I was about to experience would change everything. That morning, I woke up before the sun, with my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't know why, but I knew I had to go somewhere. I got dressed quickly, not even knowing where my feet would take me. But deep down, something, or someone, was guiding me. I walked through the streets I used to avoid, passed by the park where we once laughed. The memories were sharp, but I kept walking. Then I saw it, a small chapel I had passed by 100 times before but never entered. That morning, its door was open, welcoming. Without thinking, I stepped inside. It was completely empty, quiet, peaceful. Sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows, painting colors on the floor. I sat in the back row. My body relaxed, my eyes closed, and in that silence, I felt something. No angels appeared, no voices spoke, but I felt a presence, a warmth I couldn't describe. It wrapped around me, filled the empty spaces inside me. My chest softened, my breathing slowed, and tears, warm, silent tears, began to fall down my face. They weren't tears of pain, they were tears of release. Then I noticed a Bible resting on the pew in front of me. It was already open. I leaned forward and read the verse that was underlined. "Behold, I make all things new." And in that moment, everything made sense. It wasn't about what I lost. It was about what I was being called to become, about who I was rediscovering, about what I still carried inside me. Love, strength, faith. I realized I didn't need closure from him. I didn't need answers. I didn't need to understand, because I had found something greater than understanding: peace. When I walked out of that chapel, the world looked the same, but I wasn't. And for the first time since that empty altar, I smiled. After that day in the chapel, I was no longer the woman who had been left at the altar. I was the woman who survived it, the woman who walked through the fire and came out the other side. Not burned, but reborn. The pain didn't vanish overnight. The scar was still there, but it no longer defined me. It reminded me of everything I had overcome, of the strength I didn't know I had. I began to see myself differently, not as someone abandoned, but as someone chosen by God for something greater than I had planned. Slowly, I returned to my routine, but everything felt new. The colors, the sounds, even my own reflection. I started doing things I had forgotten I loved. I took care of myself. I wrote again, walked barefoot in the grass, watched the sky for no reason, laughed with friends without forcing a smile. And it was in that simplicity that I found my true self again. I no longer blamed God. I no longer questioned why, because deep down I knew sometimes God allows us to break, not to destroy us, but to set us free. That ring I once dreamed of wearing didn't define my worth. I didn't need a ceremony to feel whole, because now my heart was full. I no longer needed to be chosen by someone else. I had already been chosen by the one who never left my side, even in my silence. If you're still listening, maybe you're hurting too. Maybe you've been abandoned. Maybe someone broke your heart, shattered your trust, and left you questioning everything, even yourself. I want you to know something I wish someone had told me. This is not the end. Sometimes life has to fall apart so we can rebuild it with stronger hands. Sometimes what feels like a cruel ending is actually God's gentle redirection. You are not what they did to you. You are what you rise to become. I know it's hard. I know the nights are long, the silence heavy, the questions endless. But there's something greater waiting for you on the other side of this pain. Something sacred, something new. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on faith. And please, don't give up on yourself. That empty altar, it saved me because it forced me to stop chasing what I thought I needed and find what I already had inside me. So if no one's told you lately, let me be the one. You are worthy. You are seen. And God is not finished with you.